Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully and welcome back to Tails Birthday celebrations with Oil Ocean Zone. And this is about the point where I pack it in because I don't really like Oil Ocean Zone that much. I mean, I like the look of the stage, I think the music is pretty nice, in that sort of look like an Egyptian kind of way, but... Well, again, as you're going to be seeing very, very quickly, this is where the enemy placement starts to get a little bit painful, and also where a lot of the gimmicks tend to be very stop-start. Which, I mean, I guess putting it in brass tacks is very much my biggest problem with the level design in Oil Ocean Zone onwards in a nutshell. It's that it does try and maintain its balance of speed and platforming, but again, there's just too many stop-start elements for my liking, and it tends to make the zone drag a little bit. Not the worst example of it, mind you, that'll be for the next level that we have to tackle, but yeah, it's just kind of to be honest. I mean, I will admit I actually do quite like what Sonic Mania did to kind of spice the zone up for Act 2, where, again, they sort of gave it, like, they took, like, the whole pollution aspect to its natural conclusion by having toxic gases that would, you know, inevitably drain rings and eventually kill you if you're not fast enough to either drain off the gas or, you know, pack as many rings as possible. Dance like an Egyptian. Yeah, but apart from that, again, your main enemies here are going to be seahorses and octopi, so yeah, they basically just shoot lasers or, you know, fart around and pip you. Not really too much, although another significant thing to talk about with this zone is actually a certain glitch you can perform, which I think is codenamed the Megasonic glitch. It's, I don't think it's in Act 1, it might be Act 2, but yeah, basically, you go into one of those like, machine things, you know, where you're pushed up by the pressure on the pipes or whatever, and again, I think if you enter it, like, just towards the side, you end up getting a... I don't know what it does to the controls, but it basically makes you move twice as fast and jump twice as high, and that's pretty much an effect you have for the duration of the level. You don't get it afterwards, because I guess everything just sort of resets to its factory setting, but yeah, that's the Megasonic glitch. I think I try and show it off, actually. I do actually manage to pull it off, I think, but I'm not very successful with it, so, yeah, you'll see the results of that. Well, why I say I'm not very successful with it is that, again, the moment I get this immense power-up, I die immediately after, so... This is the story of Solidus-Skully. He died. Yes, Tails, look off into the distance and see the pollution ruining your land. Yeah, I'll point out when we get to the Megasonic glitch as soon as we get there, but... Yes, indeed, this level is kind of boring. By the way, try not to fall into the pit of toxic muck. I mean, you won't immediately die, but you will sink rather quickly, and if you fall below the sinky sand, then you'll die. This is where you perform the Megasonic glitch. I think you have to... Oh, maybe that wasn't an unused take. No, I didn't do any editing of this, so yeah, maybe I'm thinking of a casual playthrough then. Well, again, the point is, I do remember pulling it off at least once, so, yeah. Once, and only once, because, really, it's kinda not worth it, really, because, I mean, again, you can move faster as Supersonic, and you also have the advantage of not being damaged, unless, of course, you get crushed, or fall into a bottomless pit, or fall into the spike trap of, Mystic Cave Zone, so that's about it. Dance like an Egyptian. God, could this level please end? It is fucking boring, and I want it to end. Come on. Basic platforming, not very exciting, but it gets your brain thinking. Actually, it's kind of funny to me that, like, one of the most defining theme songs of Sonic, you know, with the da-da-da-da-da, is, copyrighted to a completely different band. Because, like, I mean, they don't use the traditional Sonic the Hedgehog 1 theme song unless it's an anniversary game, which, I don't know, it's kind of funny to me. I mean, I guess maybe they wanted, or again, when they were hiring Masato Nakamura and, you know, licensing the whole Dreams Come True album, they maybe wanted this to be the whole defining, musical piece by having, you know, this pop music to be its soundtrack, but I don't know, it's intriguing. Come on. Stop wasting time. Yeah, we're pretty much trapped between a rock and a hard place. That was entirely my fault, though, because, yes, when you get in the fan and you get caught in the wind vortex, nothing you can do. I mean, I will admit, my performance here isn't exactly, like, the most, well, the most skillful run of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but at the same time, though, there is also a lot of facets about Oil Ocean Zone that just irritate me, so, yeah. How are we gonna survive this? Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Yeah, there's really nothing to say about this zone, really. I suppose maybe we could talk about story context and how I suppose maybe this was also meant to reflect Eggman digging for the Chaos Emeralds in terms of Sonic 2's narrative, and I guess I might as well go into the Chaos Emeralds and West Side Island in and of itself, because apparently, and I guess this probably served as the backstory for the whole Echidna Tribe thing in Sonic Adventure, is that again, the inhabitants use the Chaos Emeralds to fuel their vast empire and, you know, give them great technological benefits, but apparently they misused its power and, well, they vanished. And again, it's a continuing theme even into Sonic games recently with Frontiers, so I'm kinda curious actually. I mean, I'm surprised we never got much more on West Side Island than in fact we did. I mean, I'm not expecting anything on like, I don't know, Tails' parents or whatever, but I don't know, kind of odd. By the way, this Eggman mech does have a full sprite and its boss fight is one of the more challenging ones. By the way, only the spikes at the end of those things are damaging, so yeah, don't worry too much if you're getting caught in the residue. Blurp. Blurp. Spread shot. By the way, the full sprite for that thing literally looks like a nose. Again, you can do a lot of massive damage if you just go at it like this, but again, the most damaging thing you really need to look out for is the laser beam. But even then, that's pretty easy pattern recognition. With the sole exception of the spread shot, because, yeah, I'm a dumbass. Anyway, one more hit should do it. There we go, 2 more hits. I swear to God I can do maths correctly. Anyway, that's the end of Oil Ocean Zone. Now Tails, look off into the hazy sun and dream of a tomorrow that's not stained with blood. Onwards to new adventure. Here we go. Oh dear, it's Metropolis Zone. This zone sucks. I mean, I guess it's trying to be like, okay, you know Scrap Brain, well, this is probably the final zone, or so you think, except it's happy and relatively bright comparatively. So, what exactly is so bad about Metropolis Zone? Well, as you can tell with that shell cracker over there, enemy placement is kind of pish, and the enemies that they use, well, are just... they're not necessarily too bad if you know the patterns, but at the same time, their placement is ultimately what gets you. I mean, the Asterons are easily able to be avoided, but your biggest fears are slices, for one thing. I mean, again, like, you'll usually be, you know, running on your merry way, not a care in the world, and then they'll be there to take care of you. And not in the romantic dinner kind of way, they're pretty much there to just pip you, take your rings, and make you feel very sad. I mean, again, you could say it's up to the player's volition to be careful while navigating around this level, but at the same time, it gives you a lot of opportunities for speed, and again, when you have the ability to go fast, again, the game encourages you that you should go fast. So again, you're not really given much of a warning to, you know, okay, slow down, be careful, there are enemies about, because to do so goes against the design ethos of the game. I mean, again, they have vertical segments like this where you are prone to being more careful, but it's never in such a way where it really means much of an impact when, again, you're bound to run into a slicer or shellcracker. But I suppose there is also another reason why this level does kind of grind my gears a little bit, and that's primarily because of the fact that this level, well, is too fucking long. I mean, there are 3 acts compared to the usual 2, and quite frankly, Metropolis Zone outstays its welcome. It doesn't really... like, I mean, in terms of aesthetics, it doesn't really do anything to differentiate itself, and I guess this is why in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 they did decide to sort of change up the level layouts for Act 2 so that it at least looks like you're making some degree of progress, but Metropolis Zone, it's literally the same factory aesthetic day in, day out, and it's... Well, I mean, it grows a bit tiresome, along with the level itself being just kind of pish, to be honest. I mean, the platforming challenge and all that is fine, it's serviceable, but it's just the enemies that are really gonna grind your gears and, well, make you angry. And the musical track is also kinda suckish. No! I mean, to be honest, I really don't think much of Metropolis Zone. By the way, I literally had no idea that was there, so, accidents for the win. But yeah, it's just kinda boring. Except for when you do that sassy dun-it. Ugh, Act 1 is complete. I suppose I might as well bring up some cut level trivia once again, because, yeah. There initially was going to be a singular act, kind of similar to a zone we're going to be seeing right at the end of the part, actually, but... Yeah, a Metropolis Zone was initially just going to be a 2-act deal, like every other stage in the game, and what was in its place was Genocide City Zone. Again, this was a name thought up by the Japanese team, because they had very little grasp on English, and they had... Well, I suppose maybe they didn't know what genocide meant in the context of American viewers, but... Yeah. It wasn't going to be the sort of zone that you might think. I mean, I did actually see a mock-up of Genocide City Zone, which I think I might have showed off in the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 review I made a couple of years ago, it's several years ago now. But, yeah, it wasn't like this, you know, intense city with, you know, an evil eye watching over you. No, it was actually meant to be like a very violet-covered Metropolis Zone, so I guess it would have changed the aesthetics, if slightly. But yeah, the name was cut, and they basically just said, fuck it, Metropolis Zone Act 3, because why not? I mean, they were initially going to rename the zone to something like Cyber City Zone, which I'm surprised they didn't use or include all the assets that they made for it. But again, the assets for Genocide City Zone did actually make an appearance in Sonic Spinball as one of the... I think it was like the 3rd stage? But yeah, that's the story of Genocide City Zone. I mean, while I probably would have changed the name to be something a little bit less harrowing for kids, I probably would have kept the idea of, like, you know, a very frightening urban city zone available. I don't know, I think it would have added a little bit more environment variety, and I guess maybe at least have shown some degree of civilization, you know, with a bit of synchronicity with the manual narrative of, you know, West Side Island used to be populated, but now it isn't, and they misused its power, and now the evil spirits are haunting the land. I don't know, I think that would have been interesting. At least in terms of at least having some sort of tangible effect on the gameplay. Yeah, but regardless, more padding, more gears that we gotta turn. Again, it's boring and I used up my trivia, so I have nothing else to say! Well, I mean, I suppose apart from this, Metropolis Zone sucks. I mean, this is usually the zone where I feel like a lot of people pack it in, and I suppose is probably the biggest stumbling block between, well, most people finishing the game and most people calling it quits here, whether they run out of lives or just can't be fucked anymore. And I mean, it's not as if the level is entirely bad, it's just irritating, so... Yeah, I really don't know what to say, and again, like many games of your typical Mega Man structure, yeah, if you go off-screen, enemies get their projectiles back, and, you know, it's just not a fun time for all. Which I suppose on the subject of that, I mean, I never really liked the idea of enemies respawning the moment you go, like, 1 centimeter off-screen. That's just kind of bullshit, to be perfectly honest. I mean, fucking hell. I mean, that's pretty much what this level is. It's just Scrap Brain Zone, but without the atmosphere and more annoying level gimmicks. I mean, at the very least, in terms of Scrap Brain Zone, it at least had a sense of finality and atmosphere to it, even if it was somewhat difficult on its own. I don't know. Metropolis Zone, it's not hard enough to be considered a significant challenge, but at the same time, it's also not really breezy enough to be considered like the fake final level, in a sort of launch space zone kind of way. Oh, a shield. That we immediately lost. Thanks, Metropolis Zone. Kind of going on a little bit off topic here, but actually, I mean, considering that it was called Metropolis Zone, and I'm thinking mainly in terms of Ratchet and Clank here, like, they changed the name of Metropolis to Alero City in, like, Ratchet 2016. Why would they do that? Was it like a copyright thing with DC Comics or whatever? Would Superman come in and fucking laser vision the team? Whatever. Suppose I might as well talk about the Sonic well, actually, no, I don't have to talk about Sonic Orange's collection, because, yeah, we've already finished Act 2. And now we have Act 3 that I just remembered. I thought we were done, but then I failed my brain. I suppose I might as well talk about Sonic 2's reputation, perhaps. Because, I mean, in terms of the fanbase, like, I mean, this is seen as one of the top-tier Sonic games of all time, but at the same time, though, I'm not gonna say that I disagree with a lot of those statements, but I don't know, I am kind of confused as to why this one gets as much praise as it does. I mean, it is a relatively solid game, but I don't know, I suppose maybe it might be that sort of, you know, you like it or you don't aspects, kind of similar to the exploration elements of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 that detract from the experience in some people's eyes. Because, I mean, I would be willing to agree that for the most part it is a very solid and silky game that, you know, does have a very fast-flowing atmosphere about it that is perfect for speedrunners. By the way, editing there, because my recording fucked up. Excuse me. Anyway, but I mean, apart from that though, when you get stages like this, I feel like it does kind of interrupt the pacing of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which does kind of take the game down a little bit in my eyes. Again, not enough for me to call it a bad game, mind you, but it is enough for me to think that it kind of betrays its philosophy a little bit. And I mean, I guess it was a bit of a delicate balancing act, because again, you want to make the later levels challenging, but I don't know. I feel like unlike previous levels, where again, if you were skilled enough to avoid, you know, a lot of the tricks and traps, then again, you very much could, you know, play smooth and silky, whilst also having the challenge there for people who, you know, aren't quite as experienced with Sonic. I mean, I probably could have phrased it a little bit more eloquently than this, but, I mean, to be completely honest, Metropolis Zone is just fucking boring and sucks, and I hate it. I hate this place, I hate it! Yeah, but I mean, anyway, up the screw with the three-dimensional thing. I mean, it looks quite nice. And I suppose if I could talk about in terms of graphics or anything, like, I mean, I will say that Sonic the Hedgehog 2, in terms of its artistry, I mean, quite naturally, since I had like 5 or 6 artists working on the bloody thing. Again, like, I mean, for Mega Drive standards, it is actually a very vibrant game with a lot of moving pieces, and again, there's a lot more detail than what you would see in your box standard Mega Drive game. I mean, I will say that compared to most other developers, Sonic Team do make great usage out of its parallax scrolling and a lot of moving elements to make the environments look very lively. I mean, even in, you know, box standard machinery stages like this, I mean, you still have gears moving in the background, pistons, grinding machines. Again, like, it's got a very lively and vibrant color schema. Oh, thank fuck we're nearly done with this piece of shit stage. Oh no! It's Doc Robotnik! And now he has a bunch of balloons. I suck at this boss fight a lot more than I should, but that's because I'm also a little bit kind of confused as to where to exactly hit the boss. I mean, I usually try and hit him at the top, but at the same time though, the wavy it admittedly does get a bit easier when you go on, but I don't know, the kind of wavy patterns of the boss kind of confuse me a little bit. Ugh, I don't know. Oh dear. Get it? Suckishness abound. Oh dear. Anyway, by the time you take out these two things, you get one final hit of the boss, but oh dear, he also has a giant fuck-off laser beam. Anyway, that's the end of that boss, which is reused in Sonic 3 as well, so... whoopee. But with that, I would say that the worst two zones in the game are pretty much done and dusted, and we can actually get back to having fun, whilst also having challenging levels that are perfectly balanced in terms of difficulty. But first, a relaxation zone. Ah. It's like what happens after you take a nice, good shit. But yeah, Skychase Zone is very much, well, kind of meant to be more of your relaxation zone. By the way, look at these clouds, like, up above Tails in the foreground. That kind of looks like the Batman symbol. For Batman. But yeah, it's a very sort of chillax kind of zone, which lets you relax a little bit. And it also kind of shows you that on top of also having knowledge of how to fly a plane, yeah, the tornado was initially Sonic's, which he uses to fly Tails around. Again, it's the theory. This is Tails the Hedgehog too, not Sonic who's a hedgehogger. Yeah, it's very much a breather zone. I mean, this isn't anywhere near as intense as what Sky Chase would have been in Sonic Adventure, but yeah. Interesting little fact with the turtle enemies here, actually, because they were actually based on one of the initial sidekick concepts for Sonic. I mean, initially what they were going to have instead of Tails was a rocket-powered turtle named... fuck, I forgot what the turtle's name was. But yeah, he was basically a turtle with rocket boosters, I guess to sort of play on the pun of, you know, turtles usually being slow, but when they have rocket boosters, they're fast and can keep up with Sonic. The reason why this didn't go through, though, was for one specific reason. Mainly because of the fact that it was designed by American team members, and because Yuji Naka was racist against America, yeah, they pretty much said, fuck you, and pretty much designed Tails to be a kitsune with more than one tail. So apart from Tails also having lost his 7 other tails, yeah, they pretty much went with the kitsune myth, with foxes having more than one tail being considered lucky. Anyway, since we got a peek of our next level, next time on Sonic the Hedgehog 2, we're finishing this, so let's enjoy the last of Tails' birthday festivities, and I'll catch you dudes and dudettes next time. See ya later.